Hello and welcome to an extremely frustrating post-match review of United's loss to Nottingham Forest. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I think this game has mentally broken me. I have not been this angry after a game, and I know it's unusual. I know it's unusual, and I'll explain, and I'll try to explain because, oh man, I think we played decently well as a team overall. I think we created good chances. I think we conceded one chance, the only chance, which was Anthony Alanga's goal to Forest, the only chance. And I think that we actually showed a lot of what we want to see in this team. The problem I have is I swear it is every single week that it feels as though someone is directly like sabotaging the team, and it's so unusual. I You don't see this. I don't watch other clubs and think there's a guy putting in a 0 out of 10 half the time, just straight up 0 out of 10. But I thought United were good in the first half for the most part. Controlled the game. I liked the midfield of Ugarte and Casemiro. I want to know what Amorim's takes are on why he made the subs he did, because I think he completely fucked it today. I rarely do I get much criticism on Ruben Amorim on the subs, but I think he messed it up. And I'll kind of show why. I think today was a very good example, for what it's worth, of the value of Manuel Ugarte. You quiet, you don't see what he's doing all the time, you take him off, suddenly you don't have the ball. How's that happen? Suddenly you don't have control anymore. How's that happen? It's because the physicality, the dual winning in the midfield, and just the combativeness is so underrated. And that is the story of today. Because the battle that we lost the game on was Anthony Elanga versus Alejandro Garnacho. And that starts right from the beginning, from 5 minutes in, when Elanga's running down on the counter and Garnacho doesn't tackle him, doesn't pull him down, doesn't take a yellow, doesn't trip him, but gets pushed off and tossed aside, and Elanga goes on to score. Could other players have done better? 100%. Absolutely. Some other players could have defended that well. But that is the example of why I say physicality is king, and you have to win your battles. You have to win your duels. It's the name of the game in football. The good teams win their duels. We don't win those. Garnacho broke free multiple times later on in the game, and he lost it every single time. And that is the difference between him and Anthony Elanga, and it is the difference between winning and losing. Because those aren't even chances you get XG for. The XG was actually pretty good even without those. That is the difference between winning and losing. And that is why we cannot win games easily. In the forward areas, we are weak. We are poor. And when I went through in the last week, I did a video on the 10s, and I did, people are always talking about the midfield. You can stick your progression up your ass. Honestly, I do not care anymore. I'm losing it. But you can, because we had no problem with progression. We had no problem with control. We had no problem with keeping the ball. We had no problem getting it up the pitch. Why we lose games? We cannot score goals. Our forwards don't win their battles. At the end of the day, that is the primary thing. They do not win their battle. When do you see a player shrug someone off as an attacker like Elanga does to Garnacho in that instance? When do we see that? When do we see someone take a man on and beat them? They don't. It all happens in the middle and the back. We controlled the game great. We got out of the middle well. We controlled the middle of the pitch. We controlled the back line. We controlled the wide areas. It was a good game from United overall, but we do not win any battles between our forwards and the defenders. We've been seeing it for weeks. We saw it with Tottenham, where they were playing, who was it? Archie Gray at center back. We couldn't win the duels. We couldn't win the battles. That is my biggest concern with players. And when I looked at like the number 10s that we were looking at going in last week in the video, I look at it and I say, what are we looking for? What is the common thread with all these players? What makes good ones? They're good on the ball. They win their duels. They win their dribbles. They win their battles. That's what we don't have in this team in the forwards at all, and it's frustrating, And it sucks. It's going to heavily limit us. Why is Amad Diallo the biggest miss? And why is he so good for us? Because he wins those battles. And you will be able to see it easily if you compare it in the stats and things like that of players like Ahmad, why they're successful, what they do right. Yes, they score goals. Yes, they shoot well. We'll talk about that in a minute. But a big, big part of it is the fact that they win their battles. Time and time again, they win their battles, no matter what their size is, no matter what it's more than what meets the eye, but a lot of it comes down to winning your battles. And if you can't do it, then it's not good enough. And you know, everything else becomes rather meaningless beyond that. And that is the story of today, because all else aside, Nottingham Forest played a good defensive game, blah blah blah, this and that, all of that. You can still break it all down to the fact that when they're on the run in the attack, we can't take them down. When we're on the run, we lose the ball every single time and are extremely wasteful. I thought the first half was a pretty good performance when you look at kind of like the numbers on all of this. Dominated control. They didn't even get a blip for their goal. Dominated it. Okay? And you look at the first half, you look at the stats on it. 69% possession, 0.65, one big chance, 10 shots to 3, one save from Onana, and one goal we concede. And then you look at the second half. Where did Amorim get it wrong? He took off Ugarte here, and you see that we didn't have control at all. We lost control when we lost the physical battle in the midfield. Physicality matters. Winning your duels matters. Winning your battles matters. It means more than anything. I think Rasmus on was the right call, but the wrong player. It just should have been for Garnacho. And then you could have moved Xerxes to the 10 and kept going with what you were doing, and I think it would have done a lot better. And then interestingly, once Forest were kind of really dead on their feet, tired, kind of finished, then Eriksson got on, and his ability to keep the ball, another point of mine, like I said, stick your progression somewhere else. Just keeping the ball sometimes is all you got to do. Conversely, to Casemiro, who's getting a bit out of control, had a yellow, had a dangerous moment after that. I thought that sub was okay. I understood why, because he wanted us to keep the ball, and Eriksson helped us keep the ball a bit more. Sometimes that's what you got to do. Just keep the ball. And I thought that was decent. Mount came on as well. I thought he actually did decently well. Maguire came on at the end, played up front, and got our best chance of the game. And you can see, though, when we made the Eriksson sub, we came back in control. So winning your duels and keeping the ball, sometimes that's all it takes with a possession-based system and things like that. You look at the second half overall, 1 XG to 0.3, 68% possession, 1 big chance, 13 shots to 5, 0 saves for Onana. Once again, we played better than them. We did. But it's so weak, ineffective, and wasteful up front. And look, this is all thrown off because players switched sides. This was bad. This was awful. Garnacho in the first half of this game lost 8 of his 9 duels and turned the ball over like 17 times. When you look at it by the end, 7 crosses, 0 accurate. It's 18. And if you just watch the state of the game, almost every decent action from him came in literally in extra time. But then you have the 6 shots, 0 making it towards the keeper. In the first half, United were playing well, and it was just nonstop. Get the ball, dribble into players and lose it. Get the ball, dribble into players and lose it. Get the ball, dribble into players and lose it. Are there other players who didn't have great games? Sure. Dorgu didn't have a great game. He's been here 5 minutes. But when he doesn't have a great game, he made up for it by making some actually really decent crosses, winning a few headers, and winning his battles. 2 out of 3, 4 out of 5. He lost the ball way too much, no doubt about that. But he makes up for it by doing other things well, by doing other things in addition. And the problem to me when it comes down to it like this is that you cannot carry players in the attack who waste the possessions for you. You just can't. You can't do it. Um, you just can't. I was heavy on Bruno in the first part of the season because he was just wasting the ball whenever he would get it. And he changed his game. What changed about Bruno's game? Less risky, less launching, less doing those things that he was doing that were super low percentages, and focused and helped to lead the team. And when he plays well, we tend to play well. My concern with Garnacho is it's years of this and it never changes. You know, he doesn't like playing on the right. He's made that clear. So he gets played on the right. He actually had some decent games. Today, bombs it, so he gets switched to the left. Plays in the left in the second half. And what do you get in return for that? I'll show you. What do you get in return for that? You get shot, 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 shot. 6 shots launched from that side for no end product. For no point. We cannot keep doing this. We can't keep doing this. We cannot allow it. And I think Amorim got it really wrong not subbing him off. And I think that it's frustrating because we played really well. And the amount of wastefulness in the first half pushed us into a game state that was unworkable and got worse and worse. And then we tried to claw our way back in towards the end and couldn't find it against a very good defensive team that really knows how to stick in deep. We limited them to one successful counterattack that could have been taken down for a yellow. And let's talk about that aspect too. Garnacho has a yellow. Why? For kicking the ball away petulantly after he's offside for no reason. Couldn't get a yellow for bringing down Elanga on the attack though? I rarely ever go in on players on these videos or things on YouTube. But there's an attitude problem there on some of the selfishness that I really am not a fan of. On the constant launching of shots and things like that. It's just, it is what it is. It's not good enough. And I think that it really hurts the team when you have a player who seems to think of themselves only, ignores the passes, ignores the overlaps. Those things can't keep happening. This needs to be a team. And my view of the team is that you need a team for the future. That's what we're building for. And when I look at it and I think, who's got a future here? Those aren't signs of someone of someone coming together for the team. I see it with Bruno. That's the big change he's made and what's been so great about Bruno. I'm not seeing it there. And that is a real concern because we cannot keep doing this. We got rid of Anthony for the exact same thing, and everybody has agreed is not good enough. Taking too many shots, and all of that, and being low percentage and just not being successful. We cannot afford this in the team. We need players who play for the team, who play for the club, who play for the overall goal of the unit together, that are not playing for glory. We cannot keep doing this. And that's a problem to me. It is a problem to me because of the effect it has on the team as a whole. How it changes their thinking, how it changes their actions, how it changes how they play. It's problematic. But like I said, when I look at numbers and stats and things like that, the comparisons that I made for what we need in this position, this is the comparison you can make. Look at the difference between Amad Diallo here. When you look at this, take-ons attempted and the success in these areas, look at the difference. A high volume of take-ons attempted with Garnacho, 6th percentile for success. Very, very unsuccessful with his dueling and his dribbling. When you look at Amad, it's an entirely different story. This is the difference, and then you look at shooting, takes a lower number of shots, but gets a high number of success. If you look at Anthony and Garnacho, you'll see that in a lot of respects, they're very similar players. High volume shooting with low volume finishing. And, here you go. The dribbling, it's poor, low success percentage. Very similar players right now, Anthony and Garnacho. We can't afford players like that in this team as we're building for the future. It doesn't it doesn't coalesce. And today it's definitely made me angry because I look at 2 weeks and I say, um, I look at the training that they're trying to get in a system, they're trying to do things right, and they're trying to build for the future. And the only thing that can derail that is whether or not players are following out those plans and sticking to them. Because I saw a lot of progress. I saw a lot of improvement. I saw a lot of things that were right in the way that the team wanted to play. And then I see one thing that sticks out like a sore thumb and I go, this can break the progress. This can break the team. This can break where we want to go. Um, and I think that that's just not it. So that's my rant for today. I generally don't. I generally try not to, but there was points in that game where I just sit there and I go, how on earth are you still thinking, you know what? Let me just launch it from 30 yards out. It's unacceptable to me. And I'm surprised that there wasn't a sub there. I think Amorim's got it wrong today, and I think that in the second half it was pretty clear. Um, a lot of the issues. United play better when we win our duels and we keep the ball. That's what does it. And I thought that there was a lot of progress towards that. And I don't want to see that sabotaged, essentially. I really, really don't want to see that sabotaged. Um, that's the frustration. I'm tired. I'm tired of years of it's been years and years of this, of it always boiling down to like the heroics. I don't want the heroics, man. Just let the system go in and do what it's supposed to do, and I think we'll be okay. Um, and I'm a huge enemy to anything that I feel is getting in the way of that. And I don't want to see it. So, yeah, I'm more angry today in that, not because the team hasn't shown progress. It has. I think the team's been better, and that's the positive for it. I think the team's played really well. I think the team did good things. I think the team showed more. There was a lot of good pressing and a lot of good fight and a lot of good bite and winning the ball back high, especially in that first half. And I thought we were really headed somewhere that was good. And I don't like seeing that, brought down. Confidence is big, and it can be really damaging to the mentality of the team when they go into games like that, and it gets wasted, and that's what I don't want to see anymore. That's my frustration. Um, yeah. So it is what it is, and it doesn't mean Anthony Elanga was the right guy or all this shit about we shouldn't have sold Elanga. He's a great counter-attacking footballer. We're trying to move on from it. The problem is we have a player who's good at the same thing, but not even as good as Elanga. We need better players in the team. We need better players, especially in the attack. And looking at that list of tens, I really get the concept of what we wanted out of them. Players who are really good on the ball, players who keep it, who carry it, players like Ahmad, essentially. We need more of those. That's what I would like to see. So that's what I have for today. Apologize if it's too negative, but it's just how I feel at the moment. I'll probably feel less negative about certain things tomorrow, but right now I'm agitated. I will be back with podcast tomorrow with Phil, as well as a review, a match review where we'll go through and rewatch all the key moments in a replay, which I'm really not looking forward to, but that's what I've got to do. So I think I'll get angry all over again. But thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on. I'll see you in the next video.